Hey, Merging Rock. Falcons. I had the Falcons as one of my best bets of the week, and they came through. Falcons. Let's go. Falcons got a win. Let's talk about that right off the top here. Falcons at Seahawks. And I'm telling you, this game, it was kind of surprising, but kind of played out the way I was looking for. Like, the way the Seahawks have been playing in recent weeks, ever since the first half of the Broncos game in week 1, they haven't really shown much offensively, and they haven't shown a lot of life. So, with that being said, the Falcons have been scoring points left and right this season. They've been competing in games. They've been close games. They've choked games away, but they still have been putting up some numbers, right? Which is why I was like, Falcons getting 1.5 points going into Seattle. I know it's a tough environment, but I love the Falcons here to get a little to win this game outright. I mean, they were getting 1.5 points. I love them, and they ended up coming through. I watched this one. I mean, they were going back and forth. This game was tied multiple times throughout the day, and Geno Smith, kept them in there for a little bit, but eventually he just ran out of gas, like Geno Smith should do at this point. But Falcons end up coming out with a win. Mariota got some nice plays down the line. There was a big turnover at the end of the game to seal it. Falcons doing their thing. They just have to finish, says Merging Rock. Yeah. And I think the Falcons have an interesting team. And we were talking a lot about a couple of their playmakers earlier on in the show. Man, they can put up. I mean, Kyle Pitts has kind of had a slow start to the season, but he's going to ramp up.
He had a nice, he led them in yards today. You got Drake London. You got pieces there. Mariota's played, pretty well. Made the mistake last week against the Rams that in a game they could have won late. But they put up right around 27, right around that number every game, week in and week out so far this year. So Mariota's led that offense far better than I expected. This game did come down to, Seattle did have the ball at like the 30 of Atlanta with the 1st and 10 and went backwards. And then on 4th down, I think Geno threw a pick. And Atlanta gets a big win. I had Atlanta in a teaser. So I cashed on that. My teaser finally hit. I had a teaser that hit this week, Chris. And both those teams, not only did it hit, but both those teams won outright in my teaser, the 2 underdogs. But Falcons get a win here. What does that mean moving forward for the Falcons? Part of me, Chris, actually wants the Seahawks to go 1-16. And I want them to go 1-16.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
To be against the Broncos. And then I want them to, draft a franchise-altering quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. And then watch the Broncos with Russ. It'll make me happy.
By the way, real quick, I was looking at ESPN stats and info. 4 major professional sports teams to play in Denver on Sunday. So Padres scored 13, the Broncos scored 11, the Niners scored 10, and the Rockies scored 6. All pretty close there, by the way. But yeah, I think the Falcons are a team that you don't want to sleep on this year. They're definitely it's not an automatic win. It's not an automatic win like you would normally expect from like some of the other, teams in the league. I worry about teams like outscoring the Falcons some weeks. The Broncos, if the Broncos had to play the Falcons, I would be terrified knowing that we wouldn't be able to outscore a team that can actually put up points. So Falcons did what they had to do. They beat the Seahawks here. Seahawks are starting to regress to what we thought they would be earlier on in the season. And there you go. 1-16 says Mr. Boofus. What's up, Mr. Boofus?
Yeah. How did the Rockies battery do? Well, they gave up 13 runs. So not great, Rec. But I still think the batteries, first of all, it's just a stupid name. It doesn't even make sense.
Guys, in case you don't know, we learned what a battery was recently. And
most people are like, what is a battery?
It's something you put in electronics, right, Scotty?
It's a pitcher-catcher combo, apparently, Chris. And why not? Because baseball uses weird terms all the time. So why not have a battery? Call it a battery. Stupid.
It is what it is. So Seattle ends up moving on. They will be playing the Lions next week. So that'll be an interesting matchup for Seattle. I think the Lions, I like the Lions in that matchup actually a lot. Lions have been pretty competitive. And then going into the next game for the Atlanta Falcons, they will be playing the Browns. The Browns at home in Atlanta. So that will be the next matchup there. That could be an interesting one, a sneaky, decent game of teams that probably don't have the higher expectations, but it could be a super entertaining game overall. I think that could be a fun one to watch. So next up on the list here, we have Mama Murphy. We're 4 follows.
Murphy, let's go. Getting that Shaq shimmy out there. Shaq looking nice as
Mama
always.
Murphy.
Thank you, Mama Murphy, for the follow.
Who's your team and where are you from? We'd like to get to know you. We are 4 follows away from gifting out a sub to the community and getting our bingo. We play bingo every Sunday night. We need to get a bingo 4 away. 49ers in Cali. All right, so Mama Murphy, you are our first 49ers fan, I think. We don't have too many 49ers fans. But welcome in. I mean, what did you think?
How did you feel about tonight's game?
Yeah, we need to get rid of Jimmy. I mean, Trey Lance definitely gives you a higher ceiling for your team with like the dynamic nature of what he can do on the football field. Jimmy has done okay for you, but
I think in this situation, Trey Lance might have been the better option because at least he can do something with his feet. I think I thought Jimmy in the regular season would be an upgrade, but tonight, I mean, I have zero doubt that Trey Lance could have put up 10 points.
The username checks out for rattling rectum. So I ordered some hot curry goat from Uber Eats, and now I'm pooping paste. Yeah,
that'll happen.
It's a trap for sure.
Will happen.
Jimmy is trash. Well, Russ was on the same level as Jimmy, if that makes you feel any better, Mama Murphy. And we paid a lot more money. We paid a lot.
That's true.
We paid a lot more money for our quarterback than you're paying for yours. So if that makes you feel a little better, like, you know, you might be, you know, better going for it. I do like the 49ers moving forward as Jimmy G gets integrated. Like the thing that I was worried about with the 49ers was Jimmy G getting up to speed when he wasn't planning on playing for the 49ers in the first place most of the offseason, and all of a sudden he gets thrown full force into being the starting quarterback after a couple weeks.
But
so
is it getting up to speed when you run directly backwards out of your own end zone, or when you throw a pick in double coverage directly to a guy, or when you fumble a snap and give the ball
there are some kinks.
Like, is that going to be corrected? I don't know. I mean, G Girl says it though. She's like, he's cute though, so that's important.
We are 4 follows away from gifting out a sub. So rattling rectum. Anybody else who's hanging out with us, enjoying the stream, hit that follow button. There we go. Boom. 3 follows away. Let's go.
Let's go. Rattling rectum.
Recap of Jimmy every game. First half.
Like that name.
Play.
I'm not even sure why.
He's got that curry, man. He's got that spicy curry. I love it. I'll take Damien Dimes over Jimmy right now. Okay.
Chris. I've been busy. One of my fantasy football teams, I had Trey Lance at quarterback. I tried to do something earlier in the week, and it was not working, and moving on to a new quarterback. And then today, I learned I didn't even have a quarterback in, Chris. So guess what? Danny Dimes is starting for me tomorrow.
Oh no!
Fantasy football. But I'm already winning. I just want to get more points. I'm going to win. I would have won the matchup without a starting quarterback, Chris, in fantasy. I would have won without a quarterback. Thank you, Mark Andrews.
Ninja Kyler. So happy we beat San Francisco. Looks like we have a Broncos fan. What's up, Kyler? How we doing? Hope you're doing well. A Broncos fan, I'm guessing. Hit that follow button if you're new.
Says we. They say we, so that feels like a Broncos fan.
Let's go. Ravens Patriots, though. We both had this as one of our best bets. We were both on opposite sides.
I wanted to change this one. I would not have made this my best bet if I could have had more time. Although they were up like 20-14, and I was like, oh, maybe it'll actually hit.
The big story at the end of this one was there was a big injury on the last play for Mac Jones, who ended up coming off. He was like literally jumping on one leg off the field because he got hurt at the end of this one. So that's not a good sign for the Dark Lord here, Bill Belichick, who, by the way, people are loving your photo here of the evil emperor.
I'm trying to make my photos more incorporate the action, and I was able to do so more with the early games than the late. But yeah, Lamar looking all fly and happy, and Bill just literally about to murder someone or evil emperor Bill.
So yeah, this game was, and actually, oh no, you're right, Jay Cross. It was 37-26, in this one.
Oh, you know.
we like to give Bill Belichick an extra 2 points just to feel better about himself, because he's obviously not in a great place.
Are you
now,
sure there wasn't a safety late?
By the way, Jay Cross, your Eagles, they flying right now. They flying, right? So Lamar Jackson is absolutely the fantasy stud that we all expected him to be. He came in and had an incredible game here. And the Ravens ended up putting it to the Patriots. Now, we talked a lot about the Patriots and how, we said, and the more and more we saw the fact that we're not super high on the Patriots, the more and more they're starting to become that team that is looking up at their standings and looking at Miami and looking at Buffalo and like, man, we are not in the same class. And that's very evident at this point with Miami coming off. We're going to talk about that fantastic game later on. But Bill Belichick is in a lot of, he might not make the playoffs the rest of his career if he can't turn things around. I mean, looking at what Lamar Jackson did, 218 yards, 4 touchdowns in this one, and carried the ball.
5 total touchdowns.
Carried the ball for 107 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's better than some running backs right now in the league.
Better than pretty much all running backs.
All running backs.
100-yard games on the ground. Losing mattered last week, but it's pretty wild. Listen, what does Baltimore do? Because you're right, Lamar's going to be a free agent. Now, they could always franchise him, obviously. But he's going to be a Raven next season, regardless.
They're keeping him.
But whether it's on the franchise tag or they sign him to a deal. But what do you do in the Ravens when Lamar has a huge year again and then he loses in his first game of the playoffs? What do you do? What do you try and pay him? Mama Murphy's like, nah, I don't franchise him. I'll give him Jimmy for him. You're gonna literally, if you didn't give Jimmy, it would be a better option.
Yeah, no, Jay Cross, you're right on point. He does it all the time during the regular season and nothing in the playoffs. That's
my thing with him. I don't think Lamar can win in the playoffs.
And until he can do it in the playoffs, it's hard to get over that hump with Lamar and feel good about him once, the end of the season comes around. So, but Mama Murphy will take him for sure. Love Lamar's agent, QB/agent.
Yeah, he's his own agent, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Which I understand if players want to do it. I think usually they end up not getting good deals through that, but to each their own. If you have the confidence that you can work out a deal and you don't want to pay an agent that commission or whatever, do your thing.
So with Mac Jones going down, I looked at the depth chart of the quarterbacks. Brian Hoyer, it would be their quarterback to step in if Mac Jones cannot go moving forward. So
Brian Hoyer has been the backup in New England, it feels like, for 47 seasons.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And so the way Hoyer's still there? Yeah, he is, G-Girl. What's up, Seven Sly? How we doing? Michael Vick vibes with Lamar, so similar. Yeah, he's great with his feet. He's
better than Vic. I'll give him better than Vic.
Yeah. And he's making some decent throws.
I just don't trust him in the playoffs. I really don't.
Lamar should have made his mama his agent. I mean, mama knows best.
She might be, and we just don't know.
Yeah.
Chairman, wasn't Hoyer playing when they had leather helmets? I think so.
The Patriots will end up, so they got the loss here, but they have a tough matchup coming up next week at Green Bay in Lambeau. So that'll be an interesting one next week. And then on the opposite end, you have the Ravens. The Ravens will be matching up next week against the Bills, which that'll be a fun one.
That's gonna be a good game.
Bills and Ravens will be an interesting one for sure. Now
can't wait to dump money on the Bills on that one.
Ooh, the Bills. Well, man, the fact that we saw a couple teams lose this week that we didn't expect. We'll talk about those in a minute, but that threw this week 3 all up in the air. So I can't wait to get to those.
Mama Murphy's getting so desperate she wants to call up Alex Smith. Don't do it, Mama Murphy.
Don't do it.
Don't call up Alex Smith.
Don't do it.
It'll be okay.
Be strong. Be strong. Jimmy G, Mama. Jimmy G will get better. You hope. And Kyle Shanahan is too smart of a coach to let him just drown the way he kind of did tonight offensively. But Bills Mafia, baby. This is rattling. But speaking of, oh my goodness.
Pat should trade for Gardner Minshew. We will take a second for him, LOL. Yeah, you would. Gardner Minshew's maybe worth a 7th. Maybe.
Where is the stash right now? Is he just completely? Where is he at the moment?
He's on the Eagles.
Is that where he's just? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He's back up on the Eagles.
All right. Fair enough. I'm confused when Jimmy stepped out and it was a safety, but he threw a pick 6 on the same play. Well, the step out of bounds takes precedence because that happens first, and then once that happens, the play.
Tried to one-up his lack of awareness on the field by throwing an awful pass to the flat for a pick 6, but really dodged a bullet by stepping out of bounds in the back of the end zone first.
Yeah. This game hurt to watch. This Bills-Dolphins game was insane. Now, I was watching on Red Zone, and Red Zone was almost exclusively watching this game because it was just so all over the place, back and forth. Now, one of the bigger stories in this one was the fact that there was a point where Tua gets knocked down, and then he gets back up, and he's stumbling off the field visibly on camera, like bad. Like he is.
Oh no, it's real bad.
He's concussed or something. Like, and then they blame it.
No, it's a back.
It's injury, a back injury. Sorry, I should have seen it earlier. A back injury totally just makes you lose your mind and fall down, like you can't even stand up straight. This was bad, and the NFL is probably going to be reviewing this at some level.
They're already investigating it
because there's zero chance that Tua should have came back in this game. When he came back in the second half of this game, I was shocked.
There is no chance this was a back injury, Chris.
Zero chance.
Clocks up. You're not dizzy. You're not falling over. You don't lose your footing. You're like tight in your back and like it's clear it's a back thing. It's total BS. It's just honestly, I didn't have a horse in this race in this game. I was excited to watch it, but I didn't care who won. I thought it was disgusting that he ended up back in that game. I've never seen something like that. There's no way that was a back injury. My picture here is literally the lineman just holding him up after that play.
Yeah,
holding him up, Chris.
Because
my other picture over here is Ken Dorsey, furious, just really angry after the last play.
And this was the last play where the Buffalo Bills ran out of time. They couldn't get the ball spiked, and they were marching down the field. They didn't have timeouts, so they needed to spike the ball. They got up to the line of scrimmage, and they were just 1 second short. So then they flashed up to the offensive coordinator here, and he was just slamming things around the room. The camera went out. He was he threw his headset down, just going crazy. But this game, he flipped his shit. Yeah.
This was the most fraudulent game I've ever seen, Chris. Well, one of them. The Dolphins won this game, and everyone's like, the Dolphins are for real. The Dolphins are great. They're so good. Dolphins have it. They beat the Bills. Let's look at it, Chris. The Bills had 497 yards of offense. Miami had 212. 212 to 497 in offense. The time of possession was 40 minutes, 40 seconds to 19:20 for Miami. First downs, 31 to 15. Like, I know the final score was 21-19. I understand that. The Bills were the far superior team, even today. And this was a tough spot for the Bills. They were on a short week after Monday night. They're going to Miami. Yep. It's hot as hell. They had issues with heat and some players being questionable due to like being overly, hot. They purposely put the visiting team on the sideline where the sun hits the whole game, and then the other side it doesn't hit, and so the Dolphins are able to keep cool on the sideline where the Bills, obviously, I don't know if I've never been to Buffalo, but I hear it's cold. If I'm a Buffalo fan, I am not worried at all. Not one iota. And if I'm a Dolphins fan, be excited about it. Get pumped that you're 3-0. This was a fraudulent win to me, Chris. I still don't think the Dolphins are like a legit contender for sure. There's no chance the Dolphins make a run at anything this year. They'll make the playoffs, and I picked them. Again, people are like, you hate the Dolphins. No, I picked them before the season started to make the postseason. I think they look all right. They look good, but are they gonna stack up against Buffalo in the playoffs? Hell no. That game won't be close.
I just think that the Vegas wasn't given enough love to the Dolphins in this one, based off of the fact that they on a neutral field they're saying this is a 9.5, almost 10-point spread on a neutral field, and I was just like,
I mean, the stats gonna say that though, Chris.
But at the same time, I mean, the Dolphins still backdoor cover. We're getting into gambling talk here, but I just felt like this was just a closer matchup than what it was. By the way, interesting stat: since the start of the last season, the Bills are now 0-6 in games decided by 8 points or fewer. The only other winless team in one-score games over that span is the Texans, who are 0-6-1 after their loss today.
Yep, the Bills literally did not. Every game they won last year was by double digits. It's kind of a bizarre thing. If it's close, they seem to lose. Murphy, I'm gonna be honest. Finns at most are a first round exit. I agree.
I think you're right.
Unless the Finns play Baltimore in the first round, and then I don't know. I don't know what to do, Chris. I'm at a loss.
Ninja Kyler sounds like the Cowboys when they win. They win one game and they think they're going to the playoffs. By the way, Ninja Kyler, if you're not following, hit that follow button, brother. We need 3 more followers. And we can gift out a sub to the community. So anybody, that goes for everybody out there. Hope you guys are enjoying the stream. We are continuing on with this, but this division is going to be fantastic moving forward. I think
it's a two-horse race.
It's a two-horse race.
The Bills are still winning this division.
Yeah, and the Bills are for sure the better team of these two. Dolphins just got a better.
It's actually not close.
Dolphins just got a better end of this one, and the Miami is that home field advantage. That heat. There was a lot of players that were cramping up. You know what I've never understood, Scott? These are professional athletes. Don't they, like, hydration is like a thing? Like, isn't hydration a thing? Like the trainers.
You can only do so much as a trainer to tell someone to drink water. Bruh.
Like, come on, man.
As coaching, you can just be like, hey, make sure you drink water, but at some point, these are adults, Chris.
Don't forget the pickle juice game, says Rec. NFC Rams, Packers, Eagles, and Niners.
And only one of those teams has actually impressed me this year. No offense to your Niners, Mama Murphy, but right now the Eagles have played far superior to any other team in the NFC. I'm not saying that's how it's going to finish at the end of the year, but right now the Eagles are clearly the best team in the NFC.
Eagles look great, and Cuban, this just had to be the week I didn't start Singletary.
Well, that's why he went off. If he would have started him, he would have had a terrible game. How that works, Cuban.
Yeah,
that's how that works.
Absolutely. So this will. So let me take a look at who these teams have moving forward. So, I think I got it right here. So the Dolphins will move forward, and they will be playing the Bengals in Cincinnati. So that'll be a nice test for them, I think.
Since he's a 3-point favorite, that's Thursday night. That's coming up here, Chris. That's Thursday night.
Thursday night is going to be.
Love this spot for the Bengals. Love, 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 love. I wish it was at 2.5, and I would bet my life on it. At 3, or the worst case, you're pushing.
And
Bengals
then
will win that game.
And then as far as the Bills go, the Bills travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. So we just talked about that a little bit ago. Football Wife's hyped.
That game's probably the game of the week.
Bills Ravens will be a fun one. Now, 100%. I think that'll be a great one to see where these two AFC teams stack up. You got two quarterbacks that are very dynamic, and I think that'll be a fun matchup. Let's go Niners. Got a bye week coming up on October 3rd.
Mama Murphy's already looking forward to the bye week, so she doesn't have to watch that offense.
Mama Murphy, thank you for hey. By the way, Mama, you're at home, but there's a lot of ladies in the chat here, so you're gonna feel right at home with all the. I mean, Football Wife, Bengals fan, Diacola, Broncos fan. All of our ladies represent strong. We got Bills fan with Moon Princess. We got a lot of great ladies in here, so welcome to the community.
Mr. Boofus Doofus, if the Dolphins beat the Bengals, then Miami is real. I don't think I'll think Miami is real all season, Chris.
You don't think so?
No. Miami is not real. I like they're good. They're just not like a contender. They're not a contender. They're a good football team, which is why I picked them to make the playoffs, but they're not a contender. They won't be this year. They won't be with Tua ever. How about that?
Interesting. Okay. J Cross, bet all your subs on the Bengals. Woo! Mama Murphy. Oh, we're playing the Rams October 3rd, but we win every regular season against them. So yeah, so you should be fine. I mean, those division games, right? I mean, they're always fun. They're always competitive. Scotty.
G girl, Rack wants me to grow the beard if Miami wins a playoff game. Maybe we'll think about that. G girls, Miami's legit. Sorry, did you not just hear me? They lost the yardage battle today by 1 million. It was 497 to 212. I know they won the game, but let's be honest with ourselves. They were nowhere close to the better team on the field today. Not even close. And they only won last week against Baltimore because Baltimore lost their damn minds and didn't want to cover deep when they were up 21 against Tyreek Hill.
Scotty, if Miami wins a play, Beard. Miami's not real, says Boofus. Miami's defense isn't legit, says J Cross. If Miami can win the last 5 games, then I'll call them legit, says Mama Murphy. Okay.
If they win the last 5 games of the season, then they're definitely legit, because that means they probably won a Super Bowl.
Well, and we got to figure.
Yes. Yeah, I get that they beat the Bills and Ravens. I understand that. I do. But no, they're not good. I'm sorry. They are good. They're just not. They're not a real contender. They're not a contender. G Girl, if you'd like to make a wager on like Miami winning the AFC, I'll give you like 5-1 odds on that.
Ooh, we got throw it in our wager in our Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, we have a lot of fun talking sports offline when we are not live. So go ahead and join our Discord. And there you go, Reckoning. Appreciate that throwing in there. We have a lot of fun. So guys, let's keep the conversation talking online, offline. Let's do it. Don't click the shady links. Yeah, Reckoning. We've had a lot of weird things happening in our Discord recently. Bengals Jets was another one today. Bengals Jets. Bengals ended up coming off. This was one of my best bets of the week. I had Bengals coming off, and this felt right for me to take the Bengals in this one. They had 2 rough losses to start the season. Going into New York, the Jets team led by Joe Flacco, I was like, there's no chance that the Bengals start 0-3. If that's the case, then we're in trouble if you're a Cincinnati's Bengals fan. I love the Bengals this week. They were 4.5-point favorites. I think they bounced 4.5, 5.5, somewhere in that range. And they ended up doing business.
You keep talking. I'm going to do a code yellow.
Spam code yellow in the chat there for Scotty A. Smith there. Make sure, give him all of those code yellow. But one of the weird and concerning things for me still for this is, sacks are still an issue for this offensive line. The Bengals, I want to say, sacks and yards for loss. They had a couple sacks, but like the protection and giving Joe Burrow time, I thought it was going to be I thought he was going to have all day, every day. He still struggled a little bit, but still, it was an amazing bounce back game here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, looking great, no interceptions, staying clean, right? Joe Flacco, not even close to the same stat line, only 285 yards and a couple picks. But loved what they did here, spreading the ball around too. Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins getting in on some of the action. With both almost 100 yards each in this one. And then 3 different wide receivers with touchdowns for Joe Burrow. So I loved what they did across the board, spreading it around. That's the success that you need from the passing game. Joe Mixon did some good things as well, but a little bit more non-existent, taking second fiddle to all those amazing receivers that they had. But I want to... The Cincinnati Bengals... offensive line still is a work in progress. Still needs to, kind of tighten things up a little bit throughout the course of a game, because there are still times where Joe Burrow's running for his life. So other than that, there's not really much else to talk about in this one. Jets are who we thought they were, and the Bengals are back on track.
Yeah, I had this as my survivor pick. I talked about I took the Bengals this week. And that was nice. Felt comfortable. Listen, Burrow had a nice game, 3 touchdowns, 275 yards. I was worried at one point, Football Wife, I'm sure you were, and whatnot, with T. Higgins and the hit he took after having a concussion week 1. He took a rough hit, but he came back in the game, shocking. Like, so many people coming back into the games that I didn't expect. That one, like the T. Higgins hit, I'm like, all right, like, I trust that way more than the Tua, who couldn't stand up, but it was because he had a back injury that he was dizzy. I know every time I hurt my back, I get super dizzy. And let me know in the chat. I know I'm bouncing back to that game, guys, but let me know, how do you guys feel?
Can we put a reckoning? Throw
the fact that Miami, the doctors okayed Tua coming back in that game. And again, I did not have a horse in that race. I didn't bet on the game. I didn't really care who won. I just wanted to see a good game. But I think that's malpractice, letting Tua back in that game. That's just how I feel.
That's going to be a storyline of the week.
I'm not usually one to protect players like that necessarily, but that was clear. But back to this game, it was early and often, since he was up, 29 at half, 20 to 9 at half before putting a touchdown in the third quarter. They looked better. Still some issues, no doubt about it. But they were only sacked 2 times in this game, Chris. Okay, only 2 times. So that's a huge improvement. Get their first win of the season. Now they come back Thursday night against a Miami team that's going to be celebrating, probably out on the ocean tonight, doing shots at Tyreek's place. I don't know what they're doing. But I think Bengals win on Thursday night. But that'll be a good Thursday night game. I'm excited for that one. Bengals, Dolphins should be a fun Thursday night. Glad Bengals got in the win column and took care of me in my survivor pools. In our survivor pool, what do we have left, Chris? 5 or 7 or something like that?
Yeah, we're already in that prize pool right there.
Yeah, well, I'm still in there.
Well, you can't win prizes. Cincinnati
I can.
But given the short week and given the investigation, a very interesting storyline will be whether or not Tua plays Thursday night. If they consider it a back thing, we keep going back to that, but I
didn't even think about that.
But that's
true.
Like if he might not play in this game, and I don't know what the look ahead is in that game.
It's Bengals -3 right now.
Bengals -3. I mean,
I should bet it right now.
I almost want to bet it right now too.
I want to bet the Bengals hard
because right now, depending on what happens with this investigation, Tua might not be available given the circumstances of what took place today on that concussion protocol that he ended up coming back into that game. So right now you're seeing both of us bet this live.
I'm literally grabbing my phone right now. I am betting the shit out of this game on the Bengals. -3. I wish it would. If it gets to 2.5, I'll be bummed. But I can't. I don't think it'll get to 2.5.
Just unloading. We're just, no big deal here.
I just put a nice $250 bet on the Bengals. Let's go.
Back injury, my ass, says football wife. JK, back injury.
How do they even think that they're getting away with calling that a back injury?
So, anyways, that's what the Bengals are looking forward to this Thursday on a short week. So, I mean, there's.
I'm all on board. Let's go on Thursday night. Let's get a W.
Mama Murphy, dang, no Tua and loss of draft picks feels bad to be a Fins fan. And we're kind of speculating on no Tua, but like
they won't lose draft picks either. But they'll be fine if they find something there. But isn't there supposed to be like a third party doctor there? So that's what's confusing to me is like there's supposed to be like a third party unrelated doc.
Thank you. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that, football wife, gifting out the sub to G Girl. Thank you so much for the generosity. You were incredible. If you guys are enjoying the chat, join the channel, having a good time, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. It means a lot and it supports the channel. So Lions and Vikings was the next one here. Now, any type of Lions game that you have, always bet the over. They're always soaring over the over, and this is no exception. And by soaring over, I mean this was already projected as a high over, but 24-28. Now, the Vikings had a battle in this one. They had to claw their way back into this one because they were down in this. And I was watching this. By the way, can I say something?
No, you may not. Okay, fine.
I underestimated what red zone, like the value of red zone. There was a free red
zone's incredible.
There was a free red zone weekend this weekend for YouTube TV. And I'm like, how do I live without red zone? And
I didn't even know you didn't have red
zone. I don't. And I'm just like, it's part of what I'm doing moving forward.
Incredibly worth it. I have it.
It's so worth it.
TV,
and I'm just like googe. Like it's insane. It's so great. If you don't have red zone, get red zone. It's incredible. But I was watching this game and the Vikings at home struggled a little bit against Chairman's Lions here. And they finally got back. They got into this game at the very end and ended up pulling it out. But Vikings end up coming in with this one. And Vikings are a team that we were high on early in the season. They have had their struggles, especially in primetime Kirk Cousins last week, coming off that loss. But ended up getting a win today, Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. The Lions were up 10 in the fourth. Kind of let this game slip out of their grasp, as the Lions tend to do.
Story of the Lions, like that's the story of the Lions. Like they just let games slip away.
They missed multiple field goals in this game. Like I feel like and the Vikings missed a field goal as well, a couple as well. Both teams missed 2 field goals, but I feel like the Lions were maybe slightly the better team here and let it slip away late with a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They were only like 50-yard drives on both those touchdowns for the Vikings. So I feel like the Lions are a better quarterback away from being Very legitimate. And let's be honest, they got to improve on defense too. They're giving up a lot of points week to week. The defense isn't there, but the weapons on offense, the Swift and Williams combo at running back with the offensive line who is just dominating people. And then you have Amon Ra on the outside. You still have Hawkinson. They're just Goff's not that dude, obviously, but I would be pretty happy, honestly, Chairman. I know the Lions were 3 of 16 on third down, 4 of 6 on fourth down. So that kind of theoretically makes them like 7 of 16 then, right? Because they went for it that often. But Jared Goff's not that dude. They got to find a dude. I don't know where you find him. I don't know where they're going to end up because I think they're going to win games. I don't think they're going to have a super high draft pick. I think they're going to win, 7, 8 games. I'm still in that boat.
Yeah. Jared Goff had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 277 yards. Nothing to write home about. Williams was probably the better bright spot in this one. And Swift has been in and out, right? He started out strong and it was a nice fantasy prospect. Only 7 carries for 31 yards. So yeah, it was.
Why is he only getting 7 carries, by the way?
Yeah, I
mean, 7 carries for 31 yards is a good stat line. 31 yards on 7 carries is 4.5 yards a carry, Chris. That's perfectly fine. Oh, Swift was hurt? Chairman, sorry, I was at work. He got hurt? I did not know that.
Let's see. Do I have some audio coming through? It's weird. Someone's saying I have audio coming through. So
they just said they can hear your nose.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I don't know what.
I don't know what sound your nose is making though.
Oh, maybe too close to the mic or something. Swift was hurt. Remember the past when they called Goff a top 10 quarterback, says Mama Murphy? Yeah.
It is bizarre.
Yeah.
He's nowhere close now.
Swift had a bad ankle coming in, but got worse. It was definitely a pitch on a pitch count today. Swift has been dealing with a nagging injury.
Okay. Yeah, because that happened prior to even last week's game. So if that's the same injury, okay. Gotcha.
Skull, though, Joker's all about his boys getting that win, 28-24.
Nice comeback. The concern, if you're the Vikings, of course, Chris, I'll even say it out loud here, and this is with people that are in the same league as me. I have Dalvin Cook in one of our fantasy leagues. He got hurt today. Madison comes in. I literally dropped Madison from my roster. I'm like, I don't need him to handcuff Cook. And now here we are. I need Madison. I need him.
Hey, Fireball, welcome in. Hope you had a great stream. Hope everything's going well. Welcome in, everybody coming in from Fireball. Hey, go give Fireball some love if you haven't already. He's great. Go give him a quick follow and make sure you guys know when he goes live. Thank you. I know my team has concerns. I dropped Madison. Thank you so much, Double Doc, for the shout out. So the Lions have the Seattle Seahawks, which I think that's a winnable game. I'm dumping money on the Lions easy on that one.
The dub.
Meanwhile, the Vikings, another easy dub, you would think, is playing the New Orleans Saints next weekend. And
Saints look like trash right now.
Saints look like trash. They played and lost to the Carolina Panthers. We'll get into that game in a little bit, but the Saints aren't it. They couldn't even, the Saints could not score today. So Minnesota coming in, I think will handle pretty well that matchup. So I'm not too worried about either of these teams in the next week. So he's close to affiliates, says Reckoning. There you go. Miss Fireball's raid to a potato net. NFC South looks like trash, says Double Doc Balls. We weren't excited about the NFC South. The biggest thing that we were excited about were maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they've looked like trash. Like they haven't looked good.
Especially, they look strikingly similar to your Broncos, Chris.
Yeah, it's not great.
Their defense has played really well. Their offense has been a dumpster fire. So we'll see. we'll see them on Sunday night next week, and probably a low-scoring game against my Chiefs.
Yeah. Next up, speaking of Tampa Bay and Green Bay, this is a very similar game to what we saw tonight, right? I mean, 14-12 versus 10-11. I mean, these games were not super exciting to watch. The Packers-Bucks, I was expecting to be very, very competitive, and it was a 2.5. I mean, this is right where they expected it to be in Vegas with like the close spread.
Except the Bucks were favored, yeah.
The Bucks were favored, correct? Yep. But battle of the retirement homes, yes, says Mama Murphy. It's true, and Tom Brady has not looked like himself this season. It's woo. Marie, I'm not a happy Broncos fan, and don't tell me a win is a win.
Chris already said a win was a win, and I agree with you, Marie. You should not be a happy Broncos fan. That game was gross.
It wasn't pretty.
Gross.
It wasn't pretty.
It's the sign of the future with all the money you've paid to that new quarterback.
And
your brand new coach, who's the worst.
Let's just say we're not going anywhere anytime soon. Hey, the Avs won. There you go.
In preseason hockey against our loved Vegas Golden Knights, Chris.
Any win against Vegas Golden Knights is great.
Even in preseason.
True. But yeah, no, it's a long road ahead, Marie, and it's going to be.
I was being serious. I was happy they beat Vegas. Anytime you can beat Vegas, I'm thrilled.
But in this game, the Green Bay Packers ended up coming out on top. Aaron Rodgers did just enough, and the defense held the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in check for most of the day. Both defenses, we knew this was going to be a defensive game. We talked about it on the Wednesday show. The under sounded incredible. We were like, oh, the under feels good in the sense that, like, you have two offenses. One, Tampa Bay's injury prone on their entire wide receiver line. All their guys are hurt. And then the Green Bay Packers have guys like Randall Cobb coming back from injury, who's been in the league for 100 years. And you have guys like Lazard, who he's been injured. You have all sorts of question marks across those offenses that it's just like, this lends itself to a defensive battle. And a 14-12, if you were to tell me that would be the end of score, it wouldn't surprise me. And that's what we ended up getting. Packers ended up getting the victory here over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yeah, Tampa Bay taking an L.
Yeah, this game was kind of weird in the sense, like, Green Bay, first two possessions, 2 touchdowns. Drove down 75 yards, 71 yards, got 2 touchdowns, were up 14-3, all was right in the world. And they didn't even get 100 yards in the second half, Chris. I think they were closer to 75 yards of offense in the second half. The second half was a punt, fumble, interception, punt. And then Tampa went 8. Of course they did with Tom. 89 yards at the end of the game, but then needed the 2-point conversion. So this came down to a 2-point conversion. Tom Brady, prior to getting the playoff on the 2-point conversion, this is Tom Brady, who's been in the league 137 years, Chris. Google that, guys. It's true.
Yep.
137 years. And he gets a delay of game penalty prior to their 2-point play. And then they don't get it. And that was the game. That was the game right there. So Green Bay's defense locked up the Tampa Bay's offense, which everyone is kind of doing. But we know Green Bay's defense is good. Their offense still remains a problem. Like, it's outside of those first 2 drives, it was an unmitigated disaster in that second half. They couldn't do anything in that second half. So Green Bay moves to 2-1. Tampa's 2-1. Both these teams feel like they're not playing up to expectations at this point, in my mind, and have a lot to work on to improve.
Yeah, Green Bay plays. Green Bay plays New England coming up, and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will play your Kansas City Chiefs coming up Sunday Night Football. But Chairman, was Hackett coaching the Tampa Bay today? I mean,
he might have been.
He might have been calling in plays.
He's good enough where he should probably be coaching several teams at once.
JK, A win is a win at the end. That's all that matters. Sabres beat the Caps in OT. Yeah. Marie, 8-16 on my picks. F that crapola. I'm good. I'm out. Good night. I love y'all. Thank you for coming in, Marie, for a little bit. Marie. Appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. Have a great end of your weekend here. Mama Murphy, at this point, I say when Brady and Rodgers plays, the losing team QB needs to retire. It's just like put a wager on it.
I think this has to be Brady's last year, right? Like this feels like the end of the road for sure for Brady. Rodgers is going to stick around because he's going to get paid. He just signed a new deal or whatever. He'll get paid for a year or two more, but I mean, yeah, Brady
feels like this is it. It feels like
if they start on a downward spiral, he might retire halfway through the season, Chris. Like maybe not halfway, but
really,
there might be a point in the season where he retires if they don't start playing better.
Interesting. I mean, I wouldn't have thought maybe mid season, but I mean, you're not wrong in the sense that he's getting pressure from like the whole.
He's a little bit of a spoiled brat, and he's getting pressure from home.
Yep.
He broke 2 tablets last week. I don't know if he broke tablets this week, but I assume he probably did. Chairman, aren't they 2-1? Yes, they are. But have you watched? I mean, have you watched that offense? I remember a few years ago, the last year Brady was in New England, that New England team started off like 8-0. But that offense was a dumpster fire, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs to Tennessee where they put up like 7 points in that game. That feels exactly what this Bucs team is. I know a lot of people are like, this Bucs team's going to turn it around, this and that. Chairman, they look better than San Francisco or Denver. That's the line? That's the line we're going with? They look better than that shitstorm we watched tonight?
They're on par, that's for sure. All right, next up, that's a pretty low standard, says Devil Dog.
Yeah, very low standard.
But here we go. Here's a different standard, and that's Texans and Bears.
Low standards.
Texans and Bears are battling in this one. Now, I luckily had the Bears in this, and I was terrified this entire game because the Bears did not look like they wanted to win this one. They just kind of let the Texans just kind of like get just a little extra play, like one extra play more. Battle of the rebuilds here, says Mama Murphy. Yeah, this one was a tough one. I'm glad we didn't watch a ton of it, but at the same time, it was a game that ended up coming down to a couple plays at the very end. You got an interception at the very end of this game to close it out, but overall, I thought this game didn't have a lot of storylines. Davis Mills is kind of trying to prove himself in Houston. 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not quite doing that today. And then you had Justin Fields, who was trying to do the same thing. Didn't quite do his job either. 106 yards, 2 interceptions. So this was just kind of a sloppy game overall. Not super exciting. Bears end up just eking out a win in this one, improving to 2-1. So they're still in the green right here. But a Houston 0-2-1 to start the season.
Yeah. Listen, this game was...
I'll be right back.
Awful. I mean, Justin Fields was a disaster. Justin Fields was 8 of 17 for like 106 in this game. And yeah, he led them on a game-winning drive to win with a last-second field goal where they had exactly 0 yards on that drive. Listen, Justin Fields, you got to... And everyone's blamed the offensive line, and they blamed Nagy last year. It was the coach's fault. And now they have a new coaching staff, and it's like, the offensive line's fault. All of that can be true, and at the same time, Justin Fields can be a problem as well. Can we start talking about how Justin Fields might not be it? Might not be that dude? I think we got to... In the game they won. I know they won. But he went 8 of 17. He's completed like 25 passes through 3 weeks. I know they're 2-1, but the team looks bad. The Texans, Davis Mills has a turnover on a 3rd and 1. late in the game and they're at their own like 25 that you just can't have. You can't have. Turn it over. Bears kick a field goal. Bears win the game. Huge mistake on but Davis Mills at least looks like he can at least do something. He made a huge mistake, but let's be honest, Fields threw 2 picks. I didn't even mention that. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this game because these two are 2 teams that are going nowhere. I don't care that the Bears are 2-1; they're going nowhere. And the real question is, where do you go with Justin Fields? Because he does not look good right now. He looks like he's lacking confidence. Doesn't know what he's supposed to do out there. Yeah, I didn't even see Mr. Boofus, but he says Justin looks like he's lacks confidence. So absolutely, he's scared to throw. Like, it's ugly. This was an ugly win. We knew this was going to be an ugly game. I don't want to talk about this one that much, Chris, but
yeah,
it was an ugly game. The Bears got a W. They're 2-1, and they might go 2-15.
Well, and the thing here is also he makes a good. So Boofus is like Roquan and Khalil Herbert won this game for us. The problem,
the run game was great.
Yeah, no, and that's great. But here's the thing: Roquan has requested a trade early in the season, so he's the guy that kind of sealed it for you, and he wants out. From what we think, still is the case, and then Khalil Herbert is the backup who is filling in nicely, which is great. But it's like you'll take that, right? But you want your starting guys to be that for you too. So it is just tough, man. And I think that the Bears, they just need to figure out the quarterback position, if Fields is the guy or not. And I don't know. I'm trying to get there. I want him to be.
I don't think he is.
I want him to be. I just can't get there.
As a Denver fan, you probably shouldn't want him to be, because everyone in Denver was furious when they didn't take Fields and took Surtain instead. But right now, not taking Fields looks pretty good. Now, trading for Russ also looks pretty shitty, but still, Fields looks like he's not that dude.
By the way, we are still 3 subs away from gifting out a sub to the, or 3 follows away from gifting out a sub to the community. So if you're here, hit that follow button. It's free, and you guys will see us gift out a sub to the community, and hopefully you are the beneficiary. We do it randomly. So have some fun with us and stick with us. Talk some sports every Wednesday and Sunday. My name is Chris. This is Scott. We're your host from the Action Lab. Where's the pick of that long ass Nexus football wife?
I switched it up this week. I switched it up. It'll be back. Don't worry.
All right. So getting into the Jags and Chargers. Jags and Chargers were
hell?
Herbert did not look good in this one. Herbert looked. I think the injury is catching up with him. Obviously, coming off that game where he had the rib injury, visibly he was in discomfort and he was not in a good place with the Chiefs after he took that hit. And then he's coming back. It was a kind of a. We knew he was going to play, but to what extent? And this was a weird one for the San Diego or Los Angeles Chargers. I do this every stream.
It's only been like 3 years, Chris.
It's only been like 3 years. The Los Angeles Chargers, but the Jags come in and just absolutely at home of the Chargers just crushed them 38-10. This wasn't even a close game. I mean, this was over very quickly, and we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but I think the biggest question in this one is Justin Herbert gonna be able to hold up over the course of he completed some passes and he was fine.
It'll get better. It's just the Chargers are charging, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're doing what they do. They choke away games, and this one, typically, you would think they would choke away close games. This one wasn't even close.
I got a hot take for you here, Chris.
Let's hear it. Spam hot take in the chat.
I said on Wednesday, this game is a playoff matchup. I said that this is a first-round playoff matchup because the Jags are going to win the AFC South. Remember that?
Yep.
You remember that?
Yep.
Okay. Hot take right here. Everyone loves them some Dolphins, right?
Okay.
Right now, in my opinion, the best team in Florida, which includes the Bucs and the Dolphins, is the Jacksonville Jaguars on a neutral field. If Jacksonville was playing Miami, especially, Brady would like maybe find a way to fucking like, I don't know, hoodoo is do some sorcery and get a win. But I think Jacksonville, Miami on a neutral field right now, I'd take Jacksonville.
Ooh, hot takes in the chat. Spam them.
I'd take Jacksonville.
Spam them. That's
Come at me. But I think I'm right. I think Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence. I was a little concerned about him coming into his second year. Had a great game. They have a real coach now.
They do.
As Devil Doc Ball says, Jags have an actual head coach, Mr. Rufus. Who's not gonna lie, I like Jags right now. Yeah, a lot of talent across the board. I'm surprised. Their defense is where I'm worried about. Way less than their offense. I mean, they don't have a ton of defensive dudes, but they've been getting the job done so far. Yeah, I would take Jacksonville over Miami on a neutral field right now. I would.
Well, and Jacksonville has a nice little test. I think that next week will be interesting for them when they take on the Eagles. Eagles will be a fun matchup. I think that's an underrated matchup next week.
What's the line on that one? That's another one I want to fire on.
just get after it. I think that one is +7 for Jags.
Plus 7?
The early look ahead is +7 for Jacksonville.
Let me look at this.
At least in FanDuel it is.
+7? Obviously in Philly.
In Philly.
I see it at 6.5. I would love it at 7. I would love that at 7. And I like Philly. I like both those teams, but give me Jacksonville. Why is Jacksonville not getting any credit? They should have won week 1 against Washington. They literally were an abomination in the red zone and didn't score when they should have. They were the far better team week 1. And since then, all they've done is win 24-0 against the Colts and 38-10 against the Chargers.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, Chris.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty damn good.
Meanwhile, the Chargers are going to be matching up next week with the Texans. So that's a nice little bounce back. If you ever need a bounce back, that's the one that you need. No offense to all the Houston fans out there, but I mean, the Chargers the Chargers lost Bosa in this one. He went out in the first, I think it was the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know what his injury looks like, but I think he'll be back fairly soon. But is
he worth 4 touchdowns?
I don't know about that. But that's the biggest thing that the Chargers were talking about going into this season was, hey, you got, Bosa is like a monster, and like that pass rush is going to be insane. Well, if he's not getting in on the quarterback, if he's hurt, that's a problem for the Chargers, especially the fact that they gave us some big chunk plays on the ground. Remember we were talking about they weren't so good against the run? They gave us some massive plays on the run today, and they're right back to being where they were kind of last year. But yeah, Jags look good. Chargers look beat up, and that's what contributed to this blowout here for the Chargers. Let me get to the chat here. I know we missed a few things in the chat. Let's see. Trev looks good, and that rookie running back too. Is this take part of last year's Halloween costume, says Cuban?
Yeah, a little bit. If you guys don't know, we like to dress up for Halloween. I was Urban Meyer last year. It's a nice costume.
I like the Jags owner. He's got Ron Jeremy vibe about him, says JK.
What's not to like about that?
If Jags beat the Eagles, then the Jags are real, says Boofus.
The Jags are, I mean, they're gonna be tough. They're winning the AFC South. It's happening. They're by far the best team in the AFC South.
Here come the Jags.
I don't even care that the Colts beat my Chiefs today. The Jags are way better.
Well, and speaking of the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Raiders all lost today. Let's move on.
And in spirit, the Broncos lost.
The Broncos lost, like, kind of part of my soul in the fact that we're starting to realize that Russ isn't exactly cooking by any means. So, but Chiefs end up dropping one to the Colts. You mentioned a little bit earlier that you were kind of worried about this one before the game even kicked off. You kind of had some like bad vibes. The Chiefs in this one were struggling to get things rolling a little bit, and the Colts, who had two awful weeks starting week 1 and week 2, they ended up.
They weren't very good today.
They weren't very good either. So that's what was tough here. Sorry, Scotty. This was surprising, says Devil Doc. Scotty, I'll let you jump into this one on your boys.
I mean, this was a simple case of like we just shit the bed. Listen, right off the top, the Chiefs get a 3-and-out to open the game against the Colts and muff the punt, and the Colts are set up at the 4-yard line, and the Chiefs get a touchdown. So that's one of the 2 touchdowns the Colts score. It was on a muff punt. It was a 4-yard drive. The special teams were so bad. Later on, the Colts are punting again. Sky Moore, who's our, guy back on punt, doesn't even catch it at the 15-yard line, lets it bounce, and it bounces to the 1. We start at the 1 and it doesn't go anywhere. But even with that in the first half, we're up at half. It seems like we're fine, not playing great, but okay. Mahomes was okay. The offensive line's a problem. The run game was non-existent. The defense played pretty damn well against an offense. The Colts are not a good football team, by the way. Don't think that like, hey, you just beat the Chiefs, you're good. The Colts were not very good today.
Well, there was a lot of hype on the Colts coming into the season, thinking they were going to win the AFC, and they
would win the South. There's a lot of people picking them to win the whole AFC. They're not good. Matt Ryan's limited. There's so many mistakes that happen in the second half with special teams. The Chiefs tried a fake punt on 4th and 10 in like chip shot field goal range, up 4. So that would have made it a 7-point game if they just kick a field goal. But they try a fake punt or fake field goal, does not work at all. And then they get the ball back. They drive down the field again. They have Kelsey. It goes through. Kelsey has a drop in the end zone that should have sealed the game. And they kick a field goal from 1 yard further than extra point range. Well, their kicker, Bucker, is out. They have a guy off the street, Amendola. He misses. He also missed an extra point in this game. And so he was a disaster. The special teams were a disaster. And then the Colts game-winning drive, they get sacked on 3rd and long, and it's 4th and 1,000,000. They're going to punt the ball, and the Chiefs are going to get the ball back. And they call, after the play, a unsportsmanlike conduct on Chris Jones as him and Matt Ryan were talking back and forth. I don't know what was said, but they called a flag on Chris Jones that extended that drive that should have been done, and that ended up being the game winner. The Chiefs deserve to lose this game. Were they the better team? Yes, but did they deserve, with all the mistakes they made, to lose this game? Absolutely. Am I concerned moving forward? I'm not concerned with the loss as much as I am the offense. I'm a little concerned with. I don't feel like there's a lot of separation with the wide receivers and man-to-man coverage, and I don't think the offensive line has pass protection has not been great. But overall, just a shit game from the Chiefs. They deserve to lose it. They lost it. The only good news here is they knocked a lot of people out of survivor pools I was at.
There you go. I mean, hey, you cashed it in a little bit because, a lot of people had the Chiefs beating the Colts, and this was kind of a shocker. 15 subs the rest of this video, and Chris has to wear a Russell Wilson jersey and an apron while cooking pancakes shaped like Wilson's head. I mean, we could do a cooking stream. We could do that.
Chris has always wanted to do a cooking stream.
I've always wanted to do one. That would be up. That would be in the realm of possibility. Maybe we make that happen. 15 subs. There we go. But an apron cooking pancakes, Russell Wilson jersey.
Does he have a weird shaped head? What would those pancakes look like?
I got to figure out how I would make the Russell Wilson shaped head, but I can figure that out. I mean, we'll
Probably
figure.
Oversized for his body.
Probably.
But when are we doing a jersey swap? I don't swap jerseys. I don't put on that orange. It's gross. I don't do it. We can make a wager. Actually, they play on Sunday night this year, Chris.
No,
we're gonna have a Sunday night football game.
That's gonna be one of the most.
Denver KC, and when KC wins by 1 million, don't blame me.
Or when Denver wins by like 2, like you're gonna it's gonna be that much more painful.
How is Denver gonna win by 2? They're only gonna put up like 12 points.
That's gonna be the most watched stream, I think, of the history of our show, most likely. Yeah. No, it's not weirdly shaped. Maybe some berry toppings for the hair, eyes, or something. Oh, I could be creative with it. Rams, Cardinals. Rams end up getting a win here. Cardinals, have historically had.
Sorry, guys, I rushed through this. Might be.
It's fine. The
graphics not great. I was in a hurry. It was family day. I was spending time with my family at the Rockies.
Roger.
No, but Kyler Murray I was watching this game on and off, and this game was a struggle to watch. If I'm a Cardinals fan, like it's tough. I mean, Kyler Murray, for the money that he's getting paid, you talk about Russell Wilson, but Kyler Murray is not exactly burning up the charts when it comes to his stats. There was a lot of plays left out there on the field with Kyler Murray, but the Rams, Super Bowl champs, end up getting a win here. Cardinals have historically done fairly well against the Rams during those matchups. They've had a couple matchups where it leans slightly towards the Cardinals, even though the Rams should have won. Cardinals end up somehow pulling it out. But this one was all about the Rams and all about the man you see, Cooper Kupp. He absolutely is just, I feel like he's just unguardable, man. Cooper Kupp is just so good.
Yeah. I did not see a ton of this game, full disclosure. But the Cardinals are not a very good football team. And the Rams aren't playing great football. They're nowhere close to their Super Bowl stature of last year.
No.
Can they turn it on? Can they figure some things out? Of course. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt since they won last year, but they should have won this game by more, quite frankly. I don't think the Cardinals are playing good football right now. I know they came back and won a weird fluky game against the Raiders last week, but moving forward, I just don't trust the Cardinals very much. Everything for them, the Rams offensively was fine. They ran the ball pretty well. They passed the ball well. They should have had more than 20 points. They had a fumble that potentially could have jeopardized this game, but didn't late in the game on a long drive. A bad fumble. But overall, the Rams were, in my opinion, this score doesn't even show the fact that the Rams were, in my opinion, the better team. And it wasn't particularly close. Moving forward, where do the Cardinals go? I don't know. Rams now 2-1. They still feel off though, Chris. They feel off for sure.
Yeah, the Rams aren't quite to Super Bowl caliber, and then Arizona is, especially with Kyler Murray. I mean, look what he did here. He threw 58 attempts, 58 passing attempts.
That's a lot.
37 were completed for 314 yards. It's empty. You know what? It's like eating a bag of potato chips, like a big bag of potato chips, and then like you're hungry like an hour later. It's just empty calories that you just you consume them, and you're just like, all right, man, I feel satisfied for like a quick second, but it's not going to sustain me.
5.4 yards per pass. We talked about that in the Broncos game. That was one of the two quarterbacks that was the better of the two in the Broncos game. We know how bad that offense was. But Kyler Murray was not getting it done, and he did nothing. You're like, oh, at least he can run. No, he had 8 yards rushing in this game. So he didn't run the ball. He wasn't effective passing. He had 314 yards, so it looks pretty. But Stafford had 249 on 25 attempts. He averaged 10 yards per pass compared to 5.4 for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no, Kyler Murray just isn't quite there. Mama Murphy, it's because that new Modern Warfare game came out. Yeah.
He loves it.
Yeah, he's got to get the new version, right? Oy vey, this game. I can't stand Kingsbury, and Murray should never have gotten that contract. Now they're stuck with him. Going to be a long season. Last week was our Super Bowl. Let's just tank out. See, and the thing is like,
what do you do when you tank though? You're not getting a new quarterback. So what's going to drastically change?
You're in a tough spot across the board. You think he'd be
a new coach, maybe, but
you think he'd be in New England? How Belichick loves his shifty white slot receivers. It's so hard to watch him. Yeah, I think
Colin Cup is a slot receiver is underselling him a little bit. He can line up anywhere.
Cooper Kupp is he's solid, man. You can't hate on some Cooper Kupp.
No, I said Colin Cup.
Oh, Colin Cup.
Not Colin Cup. I said calling Cup a slot receiver. I didn't say Colin Cup. Get out of here.
Slap Scotty. All right, next up.
Come on, mod.
Please, yes, a new coach, Sean Payton, says JK. Everyone's calling for Sean Payton.
Everyone wants Sean Payton.
You remember the last time there was this kind of hype for a coach that was in the league that wasn't in the league that everyone wanted? Who was that?
What are you talking about, Gruden?
Yep. Everybody was like, for 2 or 3 years leading up to Gruden taking a job, everyone was like, Gruden here, Gruden there, Gruden in this. Same thing with Payton. Payton's getting that hype, and I'm like, he's starting to become like that overly hyped. And he's good. I get that he's good, but man, like,
I think he's very good.
Yeah, I think he's very good, but it's like,
and man, I think he's going to be the Cowboys head coach next year, and it's going to be a great thing for the Cowboys.
Cowboys needs. Can we get him in Denver? I'll take him in Denver. Please, new coach.
He's not coming for Russ. He's no part of Russ.
But he wants Dak.
Over Russ? Hell yeah.
Dak needs to like stay on the field, man. Like he needs to stay like Russell stay on the field. He just won't give you anything. At least he's on the field. So there's that.
Is that a good thing?
I mean,
so you'd rather have a shitty quarterback that's on the field instead of a good quarterback that misses games?
I mean, you're dealing with Cooper Rush.
Now. He's 1-0.
Bill Cowher. Yeah, Bill Cowher got a lot of hype too. Chris Hackett for Matt Canada says reckoning. Sean Payton to Dallas and then races on. Then he'll get sick of Jerry Jones and win a Super Bowl. Will he get sick of Jerry Jones or win a Super Bowl first? I don't know. I mean, Jerry Jones is always, in the mix. Raiders Titans here. Raiders end up dropping another disappointing game. And the Raiders are just kind of in a weird way, a dumpster fire that, just for some reason, just struggle right now. This game wasn't super thrilling to watch, Scotty. I was watching this one on and off, and eventually down the stretch it came, and it came down to a couple last minute plays. But I mean, the first 2 quarters, the first half, and maybe going into the third, I was kind of like, I'm kind of over this one. I'm like, maybe something happens and they keep it close. And the Raiders did claw back, but it wasn't quite enough. And the Titans ends up winning this one 24-22.
I mean, this one came down. This is another game that came down to a 2-point conversion late. So Raiders got the touchdown, late in the game. In a game they were out of. I mean, they allowed the Titans, whose offense is not elite, to put up 24 in the first half. Literally could not stop them to save their lives in the first half. And then the Titans, of course, kind of do what they did week 1. They put up points in the first half, and they didn't in the second half. They did that with the Giants in week 1 at home. Didn't score at all, but the Raiders down 24-10 get a field goal, but then not a lot happening. And then all of a sudden, they score a touchdown on a 4th and 9 play, and there's hope before failing on an attempt on the 2-point conversion, trying to hit Darren Waller. Did not work out, and that was kind of the game right there. So A battle of 0-2 teams kind of felt like a must-win game here. Honestly, you don't want to go to 0-3 is tough to claw out of. And these are two teams that, very much had playoff aspirations. The Titans get the W that they need after an embarrassing loss on Monday night against the Bills. And the Raiders moved to 0-3, come back home, have the Raiders next week, or the Broncos next week. We'll see, but 0-3 is going to be very, very difficult to claw out of in a competitive AFC that I think is better than the NFC. So Raiders keep finding ways to lose close football games, Chris. Overtime last week, a fumble, 2-point conversion they couldn't convert here. Week 1 they were in and couldn't get it done. So Raiders are finding ways to lose, and McDaniels already feels like he's on the hot seat somehow. There was a long before he hit his press conference after the game. McDaniels had a long closed door meeting already with not Al Davis. Who's Mike? What's Al Davis's kid's name? Whoever it is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
TK or whatever. That awful haircut. Mark Davis.
Mark Davis.
Mark Davis.
Yep.
Yeah. So Mark Davis, long meeting already after 3 weeks. Not a great sign for McDaniels, which Demmer probably loves to see. Hates that dude.
Through 3 weeks of the NFL football, only one team has lost all 3 of their games. The Las Vegas Raiders. Last team to be the only 0-3 squad through 3 games was the 1959 Detroit Lions, who finished 3-8-1. So it's not great start here for the Raiders here, which, a lot of people had high aspirations for the Raiders. They had a lot of offseason moves. They made a lot of changes. They got in McDaniels. They got, Adams in. They got some pass rushers in. They got some defensive, personnel across the board. And it's not a great situation right now to be a Raider fan at the moment. But imagine a long meeting with that haircut staring you in the face as JK. I mean,
I can't even imagine how you would take that dude seriously. Someone tell Mark Davis that he looks. I don't want to say what I really want to say. He looks real bad, guys. I thought so bad.
Chairman Reed buckles up the trolling helmet. I expected the Raiders to lose because they're from the AFC West. Oh, shots fired.
One team squeaked out a W in the AFC West, despite all their attempts to lose.
Yeah, no, yeah. Broncos are representing strong in the AFC West with a win.
No, they're not. No.
But yeah, so Raiders end up winning or losing this one to the Titans, and the Raiders are they're what I thought they were, but they'll win a couple games here. They'll get off the schneid and very soon.
Week.
Will they?
Let's make a wager on that game, Chris. I'll take the Raiders.
Well, we'll talk about it on our Wednesday show.
No, let's talk now.
Let's talk about it on our Wednesday show.
Let's talk now. I'll take Raiders heads up.
We'll talk about it on our Wednesday show.
Yeah. Doubting your team. Wow.
Saints Panthers. Jameis Winston is obviously looking and seeing ghosts everywhere. He can't get anything going offensively. Got to run, guys. Great show. Catch you Wednesday. Thanks, JK. Appreciate it. Thanks for swinging through. Let's give JK a nice little goodbye. J.R. Smith emote. Goodbye. Have a great start to your week. Yeah, let's go. Saints looked absolutely awful. Panthers, the battle of two teams that probably aren't great. This is one of the worst divisions in football, arguably. And the Saints, Jameis Winston, I feel like we always try to hype up Jameis, and I love the ceiling that Jameis has, but he just cannot figure it out. This offense is struggling. The defense is supposed to be a lot better, but they end up giving 22 points to the Panthers here. Panthers ended up getting a win here in the division rivalry.
I mean, yes, the Saints lost this game, and yes, they didn't look great offensively at times, but let's be honest, the Panthers weren't. There was a defensive touchdown and a fumble touchdown that they got for their first score to go up 7-0 on where it looked like Kamara almost like got hurt on the play, and fumbled as he was getting hurt, and they picked it up and went in for like 42 yards on that play. Outside of that, you have like a missed field goal from the Saints. You have a blocked field goal from the Saints. You have so many things, too many interceptions. That's Jameis's thing. You can't throw picks. But overall, Panthers get a win. They get to 1-2. I had the Panthers as one of my bets of the week, so I at least hit that one. I had them +3. They win outright by 8, so I covered that one pretty comfortably. Yeah, I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on this one outside of the Saints. Look, Chris lost without Sean Payton offensively.
They're struggling quite a bit. This was hard to watch for a little bit when I was tuning into this one. I mean, it was tough to watch the Saints offense. And that's saying something from a Broncos fan. So, I mean, I think the first touchdown they scored was in the third quarter, fourth quarter, somewhere in there. Like, it was late in the game that they finally got on the board, and it was like kind of a breath of fresh air for the Saints at that point. But even still, they only got to 14 points in this game against a Carolina Panthers team that I think is
14 would have won tonight.
Yeah, true. You're not wrong.
The good news is Chris Olave had like 150 yards in this. There are some rookie wide receivers out there with Olave
and London
and Garrett Wilson in New York, who I wasn't high on, but he's kind of killing it. And in Washington, Jahan Dotson has been nice at times, especially in the red zone. So
yeah, there's
some rookie wideouts that are balling out for sure. Even the dude in Tennessee, even though he doesn't get a ton of snaps out of Arkansas. I'm trying to blank on his name, but he's looked nice at times. You know who hasn't looked nice? Sky Moore, who we drafted in the second round.
he's had a couple hiccups.
He muffed a punt. He's caught like one ball this season. It's been I'm not ready to give up on him, but it's not good right now.
Next up, we have this beautiful matchup here between the Commanders and the Eagles. Eagles are continuing to fly high. Jalen Hurts, MVP, says Devil Dog. The Eagles are looking pretty good. And by pretty good, I mean they're the best team in the NFC. They're the only undefeated team. Well, outside of the... hold on one sec.
Don't worry, Scotty. The sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit for your boy Moore. Sky Moore.
Thanks, Rack.
Yeah.
Thanks for the bid.
Thanks for the biddies. Appreciate that reckoning. You're the best.
No, 1 bit. It was 1 bit.
It was 2 bits.
Oh, 2 bits.
2 bits.
Sorry.
Yeah. This game, obviously, there's the 2 or 3 undefeated teams in the league. What, the Giants as of right now, the Eagles, and the Dolphins are the 3.
Dolphins.
Yeah. So right now, Eagles ended up putting together a nice, impressive win. Jalen Hurts, you saw on the fantasy tracker, is like, top 3 again this week in fantasy points. Just throwing and running and doing everything under the sun. So he's looking great. He's doing his best Lamar Jackson impression when it comes to putting up fantasy points. But Carson Wentz on the other side was supposed to be the savior for Washington.
Good this week.
He was sacked 8 times. That's only happened twice in his career. Today in Washington against Philadelphia, and in 2020 as a Philadelphia quarterback against Washington. So it's not looking pretty for Carson Wentz.
He didn't score offensively until after the 2-minute warning in the second half.
Yeah,
it was not good.
No. Rec, thank you for popping in. Yeah, it's getting a little late. We went a little long tonight, but thanks for popping in, Rec. Hope you have a great start to your week, and we'll see you back here hopefully Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. 9 sacks says
9 sacks.
Yeah, so
it wasn't even enough at 8.
It wasn't
even 9.
It's got to be 9.
And what's weird about this one is Philly only scored in 1 quarter. Chris, they put up 24 points in the second quarter. Didn't score the rest of the game. But that was enough. Devontae Smith, who, by the way, I picked up as a free agent in one of our leagues and started him. Worked out all right.
Yeah.
So he had a huge game, especially in that second quarter where they kind of went off. Ironically, they have not scored a point in their last 2 games in the second half. The Eagles, they're 3-0, and they have not scored a point in the second half. They load up in the first half and then just kind of sit on it in the second half. It is what it is, but they've looked good through 3 weeks, no doubt about it. You should be excited if you're an Eagles fan. I mean, this is a team more so than Miami that I think, especially in the NFC, which I don't trust a lot of those other teams, could certainly make a run and potentially make a run at a Super Bowl, making the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, maybe. Who knows? I never thought I'd say that about Hurts, and we'll see if he can keep doing what he's doing, but he's looked great so far, so he's proven me wrong.
Yeah, no, the Eagles are looking good. They're flying high. Obviously, they're, one of the favorites at the moment. So we'll see what they can do. Obviously, the NFC East isn't as stacked as it typically has been in years past. And then the Commanders, we already talked about the Eagles playing Jags next week. So that could be a fun, entertaining game, especially the way the Jags are playing. And then the Commanders are playing the Cowboys. So that's going to be maybe not the most watched game of the week, given the offensive. You got the Cowboys with the backup quarterback, and you have Carson Wentz going head to head. So probably not one of the better matchups of the week, but still, I mean, you need to win some of these. It exists.
I bet the winning team scores more than 11.
That's true. And then, obviously Steelers and Browns we saw on Thursday night, so we can just recap this real quick, and then we'll get to just our pick'ems, and then we'll wrap up the stream tonight, so we can get you guys all ready for your week coming up.
It's a late night, Chris. I'm tired.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest. This one, Steelers Browns, higher scoring than I thought, quite frankly, which says a lot. And it wasn't really 29. The Browns did crush a lot of people's souls on teasers by getting the touchdown defensively on the last play of the game where the Steelers were effing around. I lost this one. I had the Steelers plus 5.5. They pretty much lost by 6 before that last touchdown. So I missed out on that by half point, but Pickens made a hell of a grab. Trubisky is clearly not it. It's a ticking time bomb until they go to Pickens. Pickett. And everyone, it's weird. Everyone in our chat that's like a Steelers fan is like, yeah, but Pickett would be in terrible position with this offensive line and this and that. And I'm like, even still, you gotta get him out there, let him figure some things out. Does he get sacked? Does he not have success? Fine, but let him. Let's see what's out there, because Trubisky ain't it. For the Browns, offensively, they played. Who had the Browns losing to the Jets and beating the Steelers and the Panthers? I didn't. I would have probably predicted those games. I had the Browns winning against the Steelers, honestly, but their run game's nice. They're working out. Jacoby Brissett has actually been pretty decent. At one point in this game, I texted some buddies and I'm like, is it going to be a downgrade when they switch quarterbacks to Deshaun Watson? Because Brissett's played pretty well through 3 weeks. I know he has a ceiling and it's not that high, but he's honestly played pretty well. Browns go to 2-1. No one likes to see it, but it was an okay Thursday game, Chris. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had the Browns winning that one, but I wasn't super confident with that prediction, knowing the Steelers are always competitive, especially in those division games. The AFC North division rivalries are always really close. So, yeah, I mean, the Browns are good. I think Brissett has always been a manageable quarterback. He's kind of in that Tyrod Taylor, that Teddy Bridgewater range, where they can win you games and they can get you over the hump, but it's it's not the long-term solution. Realistically, you take what you can get. But yeah, so that's where we ended here. Here are our bets of the week, all updated. Now I hit all mine, which was
you did.
I went 4-0 week. I don't have too many of these, so I'm gonna relish in this a little bit. I think I had maybe like 2 all season last year, so I'm gonna take it. And Sky, you get 2-2.
Just sign me up for 2-2 every week.
Yeah.
Just
no, it's fine.
3 weeks in a row of 2-2.
So I ended up cashing in on a couple of my parlays because we make these bets, guys. Whenever we make these, we always put these into action. So Scotty, I thought you had the Lions +6.
I did not. Wish I did. Wish I would have. Should have just kept rolling with the Lions. They covered all 3 weeks, even in their losses. So should have kept rolling with the Lions. And I would have literally today, going into that New England Baltimore game, I was like, I don't want to be a part of that game anymore. And I don't even know why I picked it.
Yeah, that was a game that I kind of liked, and I kind of had a couple sources that were like pretty solid that were agreeing with me. And I was like, all right, well, typically when those 2 sources agree, I'm like in a good place. But I mean, it was kind of close early on, and then it kind of got out of hand at the end.
New England was up 20-14, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
good shape. And then the wheels fell off.
So we will try to improve on this next week and see if we can get get Scotty in the green.
Yeah, improve. Hey, I had 2 greens.
Yeah,
you should improve on your 4-0. Be better next week, Chris.
I need to be better. I need to maybe I'll add like 2 more and make it like out of 6 this week. Probably.
I'm about to get paid on that Cincy game on Thursday, so I'm hyped for that.
Yeah, no, get in on them early.